welcome back to Hammond's Upholstery. It's a lovely day here. It's nice in the sun, a bit chilly in the shade. Let's take a walk through and see what's ongoing at the moment. Okay, we've got the set of dining chairs here. They need to be got on with. They're going into another vinyl. We've got this antique chair and stool. It's relatively straightforward because it's in such good condition. The stool obviously is neither here nor there, but the chair's lovely. So that needs to be getting on with. We've got this tiny little child's chair. Let's put it on the floor so you get a better idea of how big it is. There you go. It's wee, isn't it? So that's what I'm on with next. You can join me with this. I don't think you've ever seen the workshop so empty. I'm catching up with the workload at the moment. But there you go. So let's get on with stripping this little chair out. So it's going to be a fully upholstered job, so we'll strip it back to the frame, replace the webs, reuse springs, reuse if anything's left of this stuff in. I don't think there is, but we'll put it back with felt. Certainly won't put foam in it. I can't remember whether the customer actually was worried. Yeah, no, we're going to use rubberized hair and felt to keep the authenticity of it. And it's going in the check fabric that you can see there. So let me put the phone down, put the kettle on, and get back to you once we start this. Okay, so that's the top cover off, and the felt's fell off as well. And you can see what's happened here with the springs. The canvas has just rotted away here, and springs have popped through the top. It's a shame. I can't make up my mind whether it was professionally upholstered or not. It makes sense that it was professionally upholstered because of this is the only cover that's ever been on this chair. Incidentally, the comb that was in there, the disgusting baby blue comb, was on the inside back, so there's no way that would have got in there unless somebody placed that in there back in the day. So there you go, that's disgusting. And a load of other rubbish fell out, bobby pins, etc. And what would be considered now a somewhat controversial pin badge. I'm sure people will recognise that, what it is, but there you go. Times have moved on. So anyway, need to continue stripping this. I'll take it back to the frame. It's just going to be just easy to do that. But I can't do anything with this, so let's carry on, get the rest of this stripped off, and then put it back together. So there we have it. That's the cover off. Nice thing about the antique chairs that are all nailed on, they're relatively quick to strip because of that. It's a lovely chair, nicely made. Yeah. Proper joints in it. Nice hardwood frame. Oak, if I'm not mistaken. There you go. So here we have the springs. So I'll cut one out for you. These are the coil springs that are in the seat. 3-inch, 9, maybe a little bit less, but certainly 3-inch seat gauge springs. If I'm honest with you, I would suggest they're very lightweight, or they're possibly back springs. Let's put that on my hand on the background there. How's that work? There you go. They're quite soft. I'd suggest they're potentially back springs, but the reason for that makes sense because it's a child's chair, so lightweight. The standard sort of, there we go, heavier gauged spring, a lot more compression needed than this, so this might have felt too firm for the child, so they've potentially used back springs in this because of that reason. So there we go. Yeah, nice little chair. So we'll put these springs back in. We'll web it, not rabbit, web it, and put it back as it was. We're not going to just put felt in the seat. I've got some rubberized hair, piece of 2-inch in the seat. I may have some 1-inch for the back as well. If I've got the 1-inch for the back, I'll put the 1-inch in the back, but if not, felt will be adequate for the back. And then some Lux Bond over the top is my only concession to modern materials rather than the soft white felt. Quite simply because I don't have any white felt here, but I do have black felt, and the black felt that come in is very soft, so I may put that on the seat. And then it's been covered in the tartan fabric, which is here. There you go. So that's the 1, 2, just the 3 seat springs in there. We'll put back in the 3. Fresh web, canvas. I lied. 4 springs. There we go. 4 springs. We'll put this, start putting this back together. Okay. Right, okay, so back with this little chair. These are just 2 different types of webbing. We're going to use the jute webbing here because that's what it had in it anyway. This is black and white webbing, you know, makes sense, doesn't it? It's black and white. Sometimes referred to as English webbing, but in this case we're going to be using the jute webbing. Yeah. Now this chair had the webbing on the top of this rail, and then it was wrapped round and nailed underneath. The webbing was very loose as well, for me, the webbing needs to be on the bottom rail, then the springs sit in the void, and the canvas brings it down, so you create a nice cushion there. So for me, that's how I would normally expect it to see the webbing. So that's how I'm going to do it here. Okay, so let's turn the job upside down and then I can web it. So that's the compressor charged up. Here's the jute webbing. I'm just going to start with this side to side. It only had 4 webs in total on this one, so we're going to be a bit more generous than that. Fold the webbing back on itself, safe through there. These are web strainers. Sometimes used as leather strainers as well. Web strainers. So give that a good pull there. It's a little bit awkward to work on a little chair. These are the side-to-side webs. Is there a hard and fast rule to quantity of webs? Not really. In the sense, it's just common sense to put enough webs in to do the job in hand. I don't like to have the webbing any further than itself apart. So 2-inch webbing, 2-inch, 3-inch gap between each web, I think is fair. I have seen webbing with massive gaps between it, but what you tend to find, that's on modern furniture where it's been produced to a cost. Guys that are upholstering it are on piecework, and the quicker they can get the item produced, the more money they earn, so long as it survives long enough to get to the customer's property. They don't really care. But I think a 2-inch gap between each 2-inch piece of webbing, in my opinion, is adequate. So that's that webbed. Turn it out, and then we can look at putting the springs in. So 4 3-inch, I think, back springs, which I said in the last, because this is a child's chair. I think that's why they've opted to do that. Okay. get minimum of 3 points of contact on the spring base to tie in. Centralise the springs, the area which can be sitting. Upholstery needle, this is one of the finer gauge ones, but I'm going to use that. I need a double-ended needle, or we can use a curved needle. I'll show you a curved needle here, which I'll use. I've got it in my hand. This is a curved needle. It's got a, I hope you can see that there, it's got like a triangular point on it. It's for leather, so pieces of leather. So I'll use that one. It'll do the same job, it's just that it's sharper and the design allows it to penetrate leather easier. Right, so relatively simple. Go up through the bottom, over the top of the spring, down, and put a knot in it. I will move the camera so you can see what I'm on about in a second. Okay, let's move you across. Okay, so I'll be out of shot here, but maybe you can see better what's going on. So we're going to stitch this on a minimum of 3 points. 1, 2, 3. Okay, like a triangle. And that hold the spring in place. So I'm going, you can just about see through the web, over the top of the spring, down, and a knot to hold the webbing tight at that point. And I'm just going to work my way around the 4 springs. If you want to know more about stitching springs in traditionally, I'm sure there's some other clips more instructional, but this is just really to show you what we're up to in the workshop this week, and this week it happens to be this child's chair. I apologise for the sound quality, it may be a little low again, people. My microphone has died. I've got a new one on order. Hopefully that will be here later today. But in the meantime, bear with me. So, just working my way around. These springs. So this holds the springs in place on top of the webbing. Then I will put Normally on taller springs, I would put a twine through the centre of the spring. When I say the centre of the spring, I mean vertically through here where my finger is. But these are only 3-inch springs, so it's complete overkill with these. So I'm just going to put the canvas on the top and then stitch the canvas to the top of the springs. I think that's all that this needs, certainly this seat. There are lots of other ways of stitching springs in. Some of them very over the top, and this is the minimum I would suggest that how a spring should be stitched in, at least the top and the bottom. Can get some clips to hold the springs in. I will show them in a second. I have used them and they do work, but just for all intents and purposes I thought I'd show you a more traditional way of fixing the spring to the top of the web. So that's just about the last one. Let's just lock that off. Like so. That's the springs sewn in. I'll show you what I mean by a tool for attaching the springs. This is it. Has these very nasty little clips. Yeah. That's the top that go over. Imagine the spring going through the bottom. So this goes over the top of this spring and through the webbing, and then just presses these tangs or teeth out to grip it from the underside. It works, does the job. I wouldn't say it's as secure as using the twine. I'm sure the manufacturers would disagree with me there, but that's just my previous experience of sewing the springs in. I feel is more secure. So move the camera back and then we'll just canvas the top of this. So as you've seen me do plenty of times, we just use a fabric remnant for the canvas. This is a lot tougher than your standard canvases. Even up to your 10-ounce canvas, this is going to be stronger. So, purists probably say, oh, you need to use canvas. This is strong, this is better. But yes, if you was to open it up and it's not canvas, right, so we'll pull the web in, pull the canvas tight, back. Need to cut it to go around the leg which is also a back rail. Once it's canvas, stitch the springs into the top so the springs are stable top and bottom. Okay, they're not going to fold over on themselves to collapse. They're going to stay in that position and move vertically. Shouldn't be moving side to side. 2-inch rubberized hair. So I'll get this canvassed up and stitched in. I'll get the 2-inch rubberized hair cut to size, and I'll come back to you at that point when I'm ready to put the rubberized hair back in. Okay, so we'll be back soon. I hope you can hear me, fingers crossed, and we'll be back very soon. Okay, so that's the rubberized hair, or coir as it generally is nowadays. It used to be horsehair that was rubberized, put into a PVA solution, creates this matting which is easier to work with than the old stuff and stitch. We still do the stuff and stitch, but this is an intermediate way of using a lot of the original materials rather than modern materials. But anyway, nowadays tend to use coir, which is coconut husk rubberized. So there you go. This is the 2-inch. This is the 1-inch. It's obvious the reasons why they're called that. So I've cut it to shape, ready to go in here. We've got the stitching done. Those springs are stitched in, nice and springy. A little bit. They're back springs. Bear in mind this is a child's seat, so small child. My child wouldn't get that. So I've cut that to size. We just pop that in there. We need to try and keep everything below this rail here at the back and clear of this rail, because we've got the inside back to go on as of yet. So that's our limiting factor. So we'll just clip this into place. And then I'm going to put some black felt, cotton felt, recycled clothing, etc., carded into felt. Put that on top of this, and the only concession to using something modern will be using a Lux Bond just to seal everything. You've got that there. This felt is very soft. It's not what I would normally like to use. The black felt I normally use is a lot firmer than this. This is almost like the white cotton felt we used to use, which was a lot softer, but we're struggling to get the black felt that's, well, there you go, like that anymore. So just tease it off the edges, want it to come down and just cover the edge of the rubberized hair or coir. And then I'm going to put potentially 2 layers. I think I will put 2 layers of Lux Bond over the top. Okay. This is, for those that want to know, 6-ounce Lux Bond. Tap that through the back. around the uprights for the back or legs. It's the same piece of timber, it goes right the way through. I have been asked, do we ever do everything 100% traditionally, including tacks, etc., rather than staples? And yes, we do now and again when the customer, antique restoration mainly, we do get asked to do it. It is an expensive way of doing things because of the time that it takes to do it that way. And there's not many people out there that would even entertain doing it now. But it's something I spent a lot of time doing many years ago, so I have a friend in Norfolk. This is Norfolk, England, who still does quite a lot of original stuff and stitching for his customers. Certainly more than I do here in Doncaster. Sunny, not so sunny, South Yorkshire. That's normal. We'll run out of staples. This one we don't want. Right, let's trim that off. Trimming it off level with the bottom of the rail. It'll just take the sharp edge off any rail if it's got a sharp edge. This hasn't. The edges are all being chamfered off, so I'm not concerned about it damaging the fabric. Pull that bit, do that, use that for the inside back. So there we have the seat ready for its top cover, nice and springy. So the top cover is in the tartan. I'll get that cut and we'll get that on ASAP. Hello and welcome back. Hopefully you can hear me okay. I've got a replacement mic on now. I know it's the biggest bugbear for people on YouTube, so my apologies for that. So we've got the fabric cut. There it is, lovely tartan. So we're going to get that in the centre, front to back. I've marked the underside of the frame. So back on with that. just pull the fabric over gently at this point, a couple of staples in there, and then we're going to pull it towards the back. Try not to distort the design if I can help it. So centralise front to back. Now let's put the side to side, put some tension in that. Again, it's easing the design. We want to keep that stable. Staple inside here. Right, so that's the pattern tacked into place. Now I can make the cuts. Start off with the back. So fold the fabric back on itself, across the corner. Starting from, so I cut from the centre diagonally to the corner. That gives me plenty of fabric either side of the leg to fold in. I'll show you on this one. So fold the fabric across. So the fabric's folded across the leg. Yeah. So I'm going to cut from the centre towards that leg and stop when I'm about half an inch away from that leg. Try not to drop scissors. Right, so let's get the back stuff off. Found it. Panic over. Use a regulator, just tuck the fabric down the side of the legs. So we can cut some of that fabric away now. If we have too much down there, it creates lumps and bumps, bulk that we don't want. Fold it, ease it down again, because we don't want to distort the design. We've got to try and get tension in it, so we have to even it up, front to back, side to side. Before I cut this one, I'm going to make the cuts at the front, because when I pull from the back to the front, it could, if I've already cut this and pull it down, it could open that cut up. So make the cuts around the front legs, same process we did with the back legs. Hold the cover back, cut diagonally towards the leg. Tuck, roll, and that makes the fabric disappear down there. Give it a little pull from back to the front. and side to side. So we're pulling the fabric in 4 directions at this point to try and get some tension in it, not distort it too much. Opposite side. Stripes, tartans, things like that are possibly the hardest fabric to work with other than silks. And I mean like moire silks and so on, not fake silks. They're very difficult to work with, to get them looking clean without what we call tack ties here. This is difficult in other ways. So front edge pulled, I'm going to have a nice curve on there. Let's do this side now. Do the front edge. Tuck, roll, making sure it's coming straight down the side of the leg. We've got any latch bonds poking through. This is the tricky bit with these, is getting everything positioned to start with correctly. Getting the tension in it, front to back, side to side, enough that it's not a loose cover on the seat, but without distorting the design too much. So we've now got it stapled. This portion is covered, okay, so I can staple on this rail, but the side edge isn't. So we've got a curve going on here, so that's tension. I will pull that down and even that curve out, and the same with the front. So we've got tension in it, and we've got a nice natural curve in both vertically and horizontally. Tension in it, but theoretically the stripe through the centre is not deviated from the centre. I hope that makes sense. But you tell the difference if you saw his furniture where the line, certainly on a check, is all over the place, different heights and so on. That's where the skill level comes in to keep it even. It's going to have a curve. Can't keep it entirely square, because otherwise that means there's no tension in the fabric. But you keep it even. So both sides are mirrored of each other as possible as they can be. So we've got a nice curve here. Very nice, got a nice curve here. That's what we create on the other side of the shop. Seat done. So back next. So this has a fully upholstered back which will come down to the bottom here. May come round this leg and tuck underneath here. I'll just release this and tuck it underneath there, I think. But first off, we need to put the inside back on, which requires a bit of canvas and some webbing on it, and then we'll use the 1 inch rubberized hair or coir to do that. So I'll get that webbed up and canvassed and the coir cut, and we'll come back to you shortly. Okay, so that's the coir cut here. And that's the back webbed and canvassed up. So there you go. Put that on there. We don't need a big bulky back. A little bit of support. I think we're going to put a bit of felt in the centre of the back, just to give it a little bit of a dome. So there you go, that's got a little bit of a dome on there now, a little bit softer. Clip the stuffing onto the frame, and then we're going to give it a wrap with the Lux Bond. So 2 layers of this 6 ounce Lux Bond. One, two. Tuck that through the back, down the sides, cut round the arm. You can see there the Lux Bond come through the bottom of the back. So stape it off on the sides. Very similar process to what we've done on the seat. I'm not going to bring the Lux Bond round and staple it on the back, because I'm going to have to put the outside back down that rail, and I want to avoid it becoming lumpy and bumpy because of the Lux Bond. So we'll pull the Lux Bond over the side rail and we'll trim it off flush with the edge of the rail. It should just take the sharp edge off if there is any, but like I said previously, this frame's been chamfered off on all edges, so it's not going to be a problem. I'll get a nice clean edge. And then it's more the same. We need to mark the back, need to cut the fabric, and away we go. So when I say mark the back, we need to mark the centre line, top and the bottom, so we keep that horizontal. There you go. So it's coming together. So I'll get on with that. I'll just mark the top here and the bottom here. Bearing in mind the fabric's going through and getting stapled down on the back as it was done originally. Cut around the arms. So I'll get this marked and the fabric cut and come back to you when we're putting the fabric on. Okay, so that's the fabric cut. There we go. So we'll just put a staple in the top and centre. Ease it down to the bottom. You're going to have to make a cut around the rear rail, which is the leg and the upright to the back. It's the same rail. Both sides. Want the back to match up with the seat, the stripe. Hope you can see that there, the shadow. There you go. Okay. Make cuts around the arms now. In fact, I'm going to give the bottom of the back a staple down here. Right, so now I can put a little bit of tension towards the top. Try and duplicate that on the other side as well. I can use the design is a good indication of pulling them down equally. Before I finish that off, I'll now make my cuts around the arms here. So fold the fabric back parallel with the arm. You see that there. Okay, and now I'm going to make me cut straight from the centre to the centre of that arm. These are very narrow arms, so getting this cut right is vital. If I don't get this right, it can create issues. So checking that it's folded back and go from the centre straight to the centre of that arm. And about 1/2 inch away from the arm, I'm going to make a V. So from there I'm going to make a V. It goes from here to the edge of that arm, to the corner of that arm. That bit can then be tucked underneath. Okay. Fold the top portion back, pulling it snugly round the arm. Same with the bottom. Let's do the same with the other side now. Fold the fabric back. Make a cut towards the centre of the arm, in this case. Tuck and fold the fabric around the arm, putting some tension in it. Both the top and bottom. Right, pulling the fabric here. I'm pulling this line. I'm pulling here to get some tension on the side here. I want the tension between these 2 points. Same on the other side. Now I'm keeping an eye on this line here to try and make sure it's in the same position on the top on both sides. Okay, let's have a look at the bottom. Now the bottom edge is a bit different how this was done, so I need to release this part of the seat. I need to put that back underneath that seat. It's very hard to put in words at times what I'm trying to do. Sometimes I'm better off just doing it. and you'll see what I mean at the end. Right, let's try and explain what we've done now. So, I've pulled the back down to here, folded the cover under and stapled it underneath this pleat here, pulled this pleat over the top of it. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. So, yeah, gone quiet then, sorry. So, the same on the other side now. Unpick the bottom of the seat at the back there, so I can fold that back. So this is where you also see things like people without the experience or not knowing what they're doing will find another way to do this. And generally it won't look as neat or as professional because they're not sure how to do this. Experience helps you problem solve things like this. There you go. So hopefully you can see what's gone on there now. So the back's pulled down. We've covered this piece of wood that was damaged with this seat. Initially, I think this chair would have been designed for the back to wrap round like this seat does here, round here, down here on the back and across here on the back. But how somebody had done it wasn't quite right, so we weren't able to do that. So we've had to hide the holes or the damage. And I think that's a satisfactory result there, so that's all good. So, finish the back off. Put the salvage off. Both sides. Then I can put a pleat in the top, single pleat in the top, right on the corner. no thicker than the back itself, the pleat, so I don't want it coming down the front of the back so it's seen, anything like that. We'll just take that staple out that we put in to pull the tension up and down. Nice pleat underneath there. So I'm going to cut a bit of that bulk out, a bit of fabric there, because it's creating lumps. Rolling it between my thumb and finger underneath and get that pleat right on the corner. Same on the other side now. Cut some of the excess fabric out, release that staple, and we'll get the pleat right on the corner once again. Bit of tension side to side. Staples. There's the top, the inside back. Nice curve, even curve, come to the same point on the backs. Two pleats, one on each end, no wider than the back themselves. Line straight through the centre. Fabric cut nicely round the arm so we've got no gaps, so nice and tight round there, and the same with the seat. It's finessing. Right, so outside back to go. And then this lovely little child's chair will be done once we put the bottom cloth on it. So I'll cut the outside back and back tack that along the top edge. Pull it down here with some claw that you've seen us use before, and I'll come back to you when that's done shortly. Well, there you have it. You can see the bottom's on it now. Outside back's on. Done. Nice little child's chair with the coil sprung seat, rubberized hair or coir in it, felt and Lux Bond. It's come out nice, that. I think that would look nice in anybody's bedroom. So there you have it, all done. So I'm next on with a set of dining chairs, and then the antique chair that you can just about see here, that one, the green one. That will be in the next one. So that's it for now. As always, these videos aren't meant to be instructional, but if you pick up some hints and tips along the way, just to show you what's really going on here in the workshop at Hammond's Upholstery, do feel free to contact us. We'll try and help you with any questions that you may have. Once again, everybody has a different way of doing it. It's just how we do it here. So I hope you enjoy this. I'll keep putting the content out there, and hopefully the sun will come out soon, because I'm getting fed up with wearing layers. See you soon. Bye bye.